By the time season 11 began in early 1974, Jon Pertwee had already become the longest serving Doctor Who. While it's good to be the king, several big changes were in the wind. This season would see the Doctor and Sarah encounter aliens, dinosaurs, and spiders. Doctor Who's 11th season would see some small changes to the formula that had been so successful for the previous 3 years. A new companion, a new title sequence, and a mix of new and returning enemies, and we're in for a fun time ahead in what would be Jon Pertwee's final season of Doctor Who. Several stories abound as to why Pertwee left. A rejected request for a raise, the production family was breaking up, but few people consider the possibility of a curse placed on the series by witches. I mean, it's worth thinking about. Starting with writer Robert Holmes being sent kicking and screaming into the Middle Ages, The Time Warrior showed how you could mix period settings and science fiction elements to form a template that's still used by the series today. While such a mix had been done occasionally in the 60s, the success of The Time Warrior seems to have opened up the series to more regularly flirting with aliens causing mischief throughout Earth's history. The Time Warrior is set in the 13th century, and the science fiction element is Commander Lynx, a Sontaran warrior who crash lands in England during the Crusades, and having found the locals too primitive to assist with the repairs to his ship, uses a device to project himself into the future to kidnap scientists who can do the work. This does date the show slightly, since these days he just would have used LinkedIn. The next time you get a recruiter randomly spamming you with exotic job offers with unrealistic salary figures, just be warned that if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is a time-travelling alien trying to kidnap you. In the present day, the Brigadier has responded to the wave of disappearing scientists by housing them in one place, where UNIT can better guard them.
All my eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Well, that's fine, so long as no one steals the basket.
It's here that the Doctor comes across journalist Sarah Jane Smith, posing as her famous scientist aunt in order to get a story. Oh, I can't wait to read that one. Sarah is meant to be a different kind of companion, one less interested in being excluded from activities because of her gender, though this really only comes up once or twice during her first season. Producer Barry Letts, who previously let go of an actress because her character couldn't easily be patronised, cast Elizabeth Sladen as a character couldn't easily be patronised. Accidentally whisked off in the TARDIS when the Doctor follows the trail of the missing scientists, Sarah initially thinks the Doctor is responsible for the disappearances. Meanwhile, Lynx has made an ally of local robber baron Irongren, with whom the Sontaran trades facilities to repair his ship for flintlock weapons and fighting robots. The Doctor, once he's convinced Sarah he's on the right side, gets to work.
Ever heard of UNIT?
You work for UNIT?
For many people, Sarah Jane Smith is so readily associated with Tom Baker's Doctor, but she and Pertwee have a good chemistry on screen. Elizabeth Sladen is a much more naturalistic actress than Katie Manning, and sells everything brilliantly. Whether it's the realisation that she's not in the present day, or trying to instruct a kitchen wench over gender roles in the 12th century.
You're still living in the Middle Ages. Eh? Nothing.
The Time Warrior is a cracking tale of medieval stereotypes and sci-fi elements. Where the show falls down is in some curious directorial choices here and there that undo a lot of the good work in the serial. Speaking of undoing good work, it's Invasion of the Dinosaurs by Malcolm Hulke. Returning to the present day, the Doctor and Sarah find central London almost completely deserted, and in these pre-psychic paper days are immediately arrested as looters. As it happens, London has been evacuated due to an invasion, but not just any invasion, an invasion of the dinosaurs, if you will. This is going to be that story, a story with a great plot when it concentrates on the human villains, but is overshadowed by the appallingly amateurish realisation of the model dinosaurs. The worst offender here is the supposedly terrifying Tyrannosaurus that appears in several cliffhangers throughout the story. If you can ignore the awful Saurus, there's a nice plot about environmentalists wanting to turn back the clocks using the same tech they used to manifest the dinosaurs, as well as some people who think they're colonising another planet, and a UNIT regular. Spoilers, it's Captain Mike Yates going rogue. It's just a pity the dinosaurs are just so poorly handled. Invasion of the Dinosaurs is one of those occasions where the ambitions of the script severely outstrip the resources available to the production team, which is a pity. In order to preserve the mystery of the dinosaurs, the first episode is just known as Invasion, and it's thought that's why it was destroyed, because somebody got it mixed up with the Patrick Troughton story, The Invasion, which is also missing its first episode. For many years, the BBC sold the story overseas as a 5-parter, starting with episode 2, and indeed that's how I saw this story for many years. Invasion of the Dinosaurs also introduces a new vehicle for the Doctor, the Whomobile. Jon Pertwee had this car custom made and asked the producer if it could be used in the show, where it makes the first of its 2 appearances in Invasion of the Dinosaurs. Though thankfully Pertwee was able to bring along the same mixtape. Death to the Daleks starts with the Doctor trying to take Sarah on a holiday to the planet Florana. Now, there was none of that, just put it out of your mind. Of course, wouldn't you know it, but before they got past the end of Unit HQ driveway, the TARDIS is hit by some force that drains the time machine of all power. Just think about how you feel after you've had to speak to your phone company's customer service support, and that's how it is. The Doctor has to make a forced landing on the planet Exelon. There, they discover the remnants of a party of Earth Space Marines affected by the same energy drain. And shortly thereafter, a Dalek ship lands. The Daleks, while they can move through psychokinetic energy, can't fire their blasters. An alliance is formed since both the Daleks and humans require a mineral found only on Exelon, a mineral that is needed to make a vaccine to combat a galactic plague. Of course, Daleks, being brilliant technicians, discover machine guns and the alliance is soon broken. This is an oft overlooked part of Dalek lore, when Dalek scientist Brel had argued for many years that the Daleks needed to fund his projectile weapon project, saying that it was only a matter of time before the Daleks encountered a planet that drained energy, and that without his machine guns the Daleks could well find it hard to exterminate anything stronger than a wet paper bag. While the project was eventually funded, Brel would not live to see the culmination of his work, as he was trapped in a sealed room filled with plague on the planet Spyridon.
Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I would like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle. For you are the wind beneath my wings.
Back to Death to the Daleks. Of course, as this story is written by Terry Nation, it features his familiar style of action-adventure, some of which feels awfully familiar, and the plot moves along at quite a solid pace. The last episode or so involves separate attempts by both the Doctor and the Daleks to defeat the energy drain. The Doctor and a friendly Exelon named Bilal investigate the fabulous Exelon city, identified as both the source of the power drain and the cause of Exelon society's descent into primitivism. Keeping one step ahead of a Dalek patrol, the Doctor must navigate a series of deadly puzzles in order to reach the city's control centre. The Daleks, being Daleks, are cheating by using a game genie and a controller with a turbofire button.
Pity in a way. Now the universe is down to 699 wonders.
The Monster of Peladon is a rare story where the Doctor returns to an alien planet he's visited previously. Set 50 years after the events of The Curse of Peladon from Season 9, the Doctor and Sarah arrive to find King Peladon's daughter Thalira ruling over a Peladon wrecked with internal divisions, mimicking those of 1970s Britain, also 1980s Britain, also 1990s Britain, and so on and so on. And just like Britain, the schism was between people who had daft hair and those with ridiculous hair. Since the Doctor's last visit, Peladon had joined the Galactic Federation, but had also been drawn into their war with Galaxy 5, meaning the local miners' dispute has threatened the supply of the vitally needed trisilicate, which is so vital that it's never ever mentioned again in the series after this story. To make matters worse, an apparition of Agador, a creature worshipped by the Peladonians, is apparently vaporizing peoples for offences related to overacting.
Kill them! Kill them all! The Queen, the Chancellor, the guards, they all betrayed us. And kill the Ice Warriors.
Sarah Jane Smith is called in to counsel the Queen on feminism.
But I'm only a girl. Now, just a minute. There's nothing only about being a girl, Your Majesty.
While the Doctor has a few nice fight scenes where he gets the TARDIS beaten out of him by rogue miner Etis, Jon Pertwee also gets to do some of his finest under-attack acting, which he always does with such gusto. Alpha Centauri makes a welcome return to the series, showing anime voice actors just how it's done.
This is the
This being a Brian Hale script, the Ice Warriors make a return to the series. But everything is not quite as it seems.
Come on, let's destroy them.
Whereas they had proven to be reformed characters in Curse of Peladon, here we meet a breakaway sect who are after glory. Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby. Monster of Peladon is mostly well made and a fun yarn, though it's 2 episodes too long for the amount of plot, with a lot of padding involving either the Doctor or Sarah being captured and then escaping without all that much difficulty. It's nice seeing the Ice Warriors as dangerous again, and it's a pity we wouldn't see them again until Matt Smith's time as the Doctor.
Tears? Well, anyone would think you thought I was dead.
Rounding out the 11th season is Planet of the Spiders, which was co-written, produced and directed by Barry Letts. Possibly still the only time this has happened in the entire series. Drawing on his own Buddhist beliefs, Letts and co-writer Robert Sloman have crafted a story that explored aspects of the Doctor's character in a way that was rarely probed in the original series.
I found a crystal, a blue crystal.
Found?
Well, perhaps stole might be a better word.
Planet of the Spiders looks at how the Doctor's greed for knowledge will prove to be his ultimate downfall. We start off in a Tibetan meditation retreat somewhere in England, where former unit officer Mike Yates has come across some weird goings-on. A group of guests at the retreat have been performing secret rituals that will result in a giant spider materializing and bonding with Lupton, the group leader. When joined with the spider on his back, Lupton now has certain powers, such as teleportation, firing energy blasts from his fingers, being able to pilot a toy helicopter, and being able to wash his face like a big boy. It's not a bad life with an invisible giant spider on your back, but you do have to be careful not to squash him when you're having a lie down. The spiders, as it turns out, are the dominant life form on Metebelis 3, and thereafter the blue crystal that the Doctor collected in The Green Death. The Metebelis crystals I'm talking about are later referenced in the Matt Smith story Hyde, with Matt Smith's own take on how to say Metebelis.
From Metebelis 3.
The spiders themselves are a mixture of goofy and scary, though how scary depends on the viewer's own personal level of arachnophobia. How goofy depends on whether you buy Yoda as a Jedi Master or somebody bumped from The Muppet Show. The worst part of the story are the scenes set on Metebelis 3 involving the human slaves of the Eight-Legs, as they are known locally. The majority of the humans are decent enough, including a pre-New Avengers Gareth Hunt. But then there's the unusual performance from this woman, Jenny Laird, as a helicopter parent.
No, I shan't. You shan't take him.
Metebelis,
Metebelis 3.
Metebelis 3?
as depicted here, is nothing like what we were shown in The Green Death. Gone is the atmospheric lighting and scary creatures, and now we have a lot of miniature landscapes with actors chroma keyed in with varying amounts of success. As it was Jon Pertwee's last story, one final vehicle chase was penciled in with every vehicle imaginable being used. This being a Barry Letts story, we also learn a lot about the Doctor. His thirst for knowledge has led him into all sorts of situations over the years, wanting to learn and of course getting involved in other people's problems. That thirst for knowledge, which had never been anything more than an excuse not to get back into the TARDIS 5 minutes after landing somewhere dodgy, would be his ultimate undoing.
It's been a long, long time.
You know each other?
Oh, yes. Yes, he was my teacher.
We meet another Time Lord, Campo, who's revealed as the Doctor's mentor previously mentioned in The Time Monster. Campo is now retired and living in a dodgy meditation centre in England, and this dates the story, since a retired Time Lord would now be living in Spain, with all the other people who call themselves expats. In a way, that's not remotely foreshadowing or anything. We see Campo regenerate, and actually gives the process a name on screen for the first time: regeneration. But first things first, in order to defeat the spiders, the Doctor would need to return the blue crystal to the spiders' CEO, the Great One, despite the personal cost. Planet of the Spiders. Despite some acting letdowns on Metebelis, generally a confident and fitting end to the Pertwee era. The Doctor is hoisted by his own petard in this story, and audiences who had grown to love Pertwee would soon have to come to terms with a new actor at the helm of the TARDIS. It was also the end of an era behind the camera, with both producer Barry Letts and script editor Terence Dix bowing out.
I think it's starting.
Well, here we go again.
But next up, would you like a jelly baby? So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment below, or check out some of our other videos.